Jerry Mace, the Kickin Lawyer. Hello guys. This is going to be a reaction video specifically to some DUI arrests that Josh has got pulled up here. So we're going to watch this together and I kind of give you my take as we go.
Hey, how you doing?
It says an off-duty police officer pulled over and arrested. DUI in Syracuse, New Jersey. So I'll go ahead and tell you, anytime as a law enforcement officer, and I was a former law enforcement officer, right? I was a deputy in my local county for 12 years and still consult with and talk with and train law enforcement as well as lawyers. And primarily I'm now a criminal defense lawyer in the state of Tennessee. So one thing I'll tell you is anytime you're an officer and you're encountering another off-duty officer, it can go a couple of different ways. There is something that officers have, they call it professional courtesy. And a professional courtesy might be, you know, if you're speeding, they stop you and you're another officer, probably gonna let them go. And a lot of people don't like that, but let me sort of explain why if you're a cop. If you're a cop, you don't want the, and you're getting shot at by somebody and all of a sudden maybe your backup is this officer that you happen to have stopped for speeding. It's not cool to have that officer then be thinking about that ticket you gave them when they're maybe on the way to back you up in a real violent situation. And similarly, often cops will feel the same way about firefighters, nurses, doctors, etc. Because if you get shot or hurt, you don't want that doctor or nurse thinking about that ticket you gave them. You know, they shouldn't anyway, but people are human. And so my point is sometimes there is some professional courtesy. Now there are lines that can be crossed by cops, obviously, where the cops are going to enforce it no matter what. So let's see what this one is.
Put your car in park.
Hey, yo.
Put your car in park.
So here we see, I assume is what's the off-duty officer. The other officers are sort of commanding him, put his car in park, put his window down, and he's just sitting there completely ignoring them, right? Now, whether you're an officer or not, this is not good etiquette on a traffic stop. As a matter of fact, back in the day, this was already the start of a traffic stop where somebody's probably going to tote what we used to call an ass whipping, okay? And that's because you're not responding to cops, and you have to. You do at least need to respond to them. Even if they have not legally pulled you over and stopped you, I always tell people the fight is not in the street, it's in the courtroom. There's not going to be a net positive, in my opinion, if you're a citizen or off-duty cop here and you're just ignoring their instructions as you sit there.
Put it in park. Put the gear in park. Put the gear in park. Perfect. How you feeling?
Good.
Okay. Seahawks Police, Officer Gonzalez has been recording my body cam, okay? What happened?
We're home, man. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Home.
You know where you are?
Yeah, Hogan.
Where are you?
By Hogan.
You where?
By Hogan.
By Hogan?
By Hogan.
By Hoboken? You know what town you're in?
Yeah, Hogan.
You know, you're not in Hoboken.
We're home.
Where's home?
Like 2 blocks away.
So this is what we call in a DUI stop, it's actually the second phase. So when cops stop somebody on a DUI, there are 3 phases, okay? In each phase, they're trying to get evidence of impairment, okay? So phase 1 is vehicle in motion. And a lot of times if you've gotten stopped, it may be too far past whatever evidence you might have given them to sort of mitigate risk to yourself on vehicle in motion. And we don't know yet here based on this body cam what they got in that first phase. So examples that would be bad for a DUI stop in phase 1 is if your vehicle's, you know, fishtailing, you're swerving, it's nighttime and you don't have your lights on. All those things could be signs of impairment. Now, people have those things happen for all kinds of reasons, not necessarily impairment. But cops look at these, the evidence of impairment on the totality of the whole stop. So first phase, vehicle in motion. Now, let's say you were doing 100 miles an hour and that's why they stopped you, but you were driving straight as an arrow. As a DUI defense lawyer, I think that's great. Because if you're driving straight as an arrow, is 100 miles an hour, yeah, it's illegal, but at the same time, it's not really a sign of impairment because you weren't swerving everywhere, right? So I don't know the backstory on phase 1, but we're in phase 2 here. And phase 2 is called it's called officer contact, okay? So the officer's contact with the suspect, that's what they see, smell, hear. So, but I haven't seen the narrative. I don't know any of the facts. This is some other state, but I can tell you right now, this cop is already going to have in his narrative that this guy had bloodshot, watery eyes, slurred speech, and he detected an odor of some kind of intoxicant. And he'll either put on his person or breath, something like that. Sometimes they say admitting from the vehicle because this guy's got his window cracked, right? I don't really care about what that officer narrative says there, because I know it's going to say that. What I care is this video, does it show that? Does this guy have bloodshot, watery eyes? Is his speech slurred? Already, he sounds, I don't know if it's inebriated, exhausted, tired yet, but it doesn't sound normal. And so I don't like that. That also brings me to another point that I tell all criminal defendants or anybody that stopped by the cops. Just don't answer the questions. He's asking, where you going? Where you coming from? He does not have to answer these questions. Now, does that mean that this cop is more likely to arrest him? Possibly. But if you don't answer the questions, you're not giving them this evidence here that he's looking for on phase 2, where it shows impairment or might infer impairment because of the slurred speech and whatnot. So already I don't like that he's answering questions. So let's see what he does next.
You live in Secaucus? Where in Secaucus do you live?
Block away.
Block away? Can you roll out this window a little bit more? Okay, you understand what's going on right now?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
I'm going home, that's it.
No, you understand what's going on, though? You understand why I'm here talking to you?
Of course, brother.
What happened?
I want a vehicle stop.
Huh?
Motor vehicle stop.
It's not a motor vehicle stop. You weren't driving.
You got it, brother. I'm going straight home.
You going straight home? Where you coming from?
Union City.
You coming from Union City?
Yes, sir.
What were you doing?
Going straight home.
You were just driving straight home?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that already gives us some more information. So the cop tells him it's not a motor vehicle stop because he wasn't driving, which infers that he was probably sitting there. Maybe the vehicle's in the intersection and he was passed out, or he was just unresponsive and sitting in the intersection. Again, that would be part of phase 1, vehicle in motion, or i.e. here, not in motion but on the roadway, which is not good. Also, again, he's talking to answer these questions. He keeps saying stuff, and he does sound, his speech is definitely slowed, thick-tongued, not clear, potentially slurred. That's not good. So these are all things that if he would have just shut up, that might have helped a criminal defense lawyer maybe defend him. So we're going to move on a little bit. I'm not sure, I'm going to skip ahead. I'm not sure if at some point he might say he'd been drinking or not drinking. Obviously, that would hurt him too, but I want to see what they do in phase 3. So phase 3 is pre-arrest screening, and that's if they do field sobriety test and or blood or breath testing.
Come on the sidewalk. How much did you have to drink tonight?
39, I'll be out there.
A couple.
A couple? What's a couple?
A couple! That's the universal answer for most of these people when they get asked how much they had to drink tonight. What should your answer be? Your answer should be, I'm not answering your question. Don't lie. You don't lie to the police, because that could be a whole other thing then, right? And we're not supposed to lie. That's bad. But you don't have to answer the question. So already by him saying a couple, whether he thought it was just a couple or one, now he's admitted that alcohol was present. Now, this officer, if he's smart, what I would do is now ask some additional questions. What is a couple? What does that mean to you? Like, how many is a couple? So you lock down what they actually consumed, or at least get them to admit to an amount that they consumed. Because he might have had more than a couple, right? He could be lying about what he had. He just thinks a couple's okay. So you lock down what they drank. Was it bourbon? Was it wine? Was it a beer? Did you have seltzers? Was it mixed? Whatever. And then the size. Was it a tall boy? Was it a normal size drink? Was it one glass of wine? What? The whole bottle? What is a couple to you? The next thing that I would ask is, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk are you? So any answer to that question is terrible, right? Because I just asked you, how drunk are you? If you say 1, you're still admitting that you're drunk. If you say 5, again, you're admitting that you're drunk. And obviously if you say, 7, 8, 9, 10, well, that's pretty bad. But that's a trick, if I were a cop still, that I would use to get more evidence to then lock in, where he's already basically admitting to being impaired, right? So let's see what else the officer says.
A couple? What's a couple? About how much?
2.
Okay. Why are you looking away from me? I'm talking to you.
Right. Yes, sir.
Look towards me. Okay. What's a couple?
2.
Like 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Just gotta get the front. What's a couple of drinks?
Like 2.
About 2?
Yeah.
All right.
And,
You take your hands out of your pocket for me?
I'm sorry.
I'm asking you for anything at the time, okay?
No.
What are you doing? Have you?
Sorry,
I guess you've done this already in the past? You have?
Yeah, I do work for Union City PD.
What's that?
I do work for Union City PD.
I never asked you that.
I know.
Why would you bring it up?
I'm just telling you.
Okay. But what does that have to do with you being checked like this before? Nothing.
All right, so obviously he did confirm that he had a couple drinks. The cop, I think, missed an opportunity there, and he may ask him later, you know, what did you have to drink, specifically what it was, and when did you have the drinks? Another good question, asking them when, because they could say, I've used this before as a defense lawyer, they say they've had a couple, but the cop doesn't lock in when, and then I could produce receipts. This is 2 a.m., and he's got a receipt from 11 a.m. where he had 2 drinks, right? So my argument is, yeah, he drank, but you didn't clarify he meant earlier, way earlier that day. The other thing, and I think this is also kind of a mistake, the cop is being a little aggressive here with him, which does happen with other agencies sometimes. I'm in Tennessee, and look, I don't want to bust out Nashville Metro. You guys can let me know in the comments if this is still true. But when I was a deputy back in the day, the only agency we didn't necessarily fear, but that we thought didn't take the professional courtesies with us, was Nashville Metro in Nashville. We always heard rumor that if you were from other agencies, they would pull you over even in your patrol car if you were speeding or something. So this agency sounds like that he's a little hostile and offended that this guy would bring up the fact that he was a cop. But he just asked him, have you done this before? And the cop took that as an opening to explain, well, yeah, I've done these before, i.e. he knows he's fixing to do field sobriety tests. I'm a police officer, right? So I don't think that this guy was necessarily trying to say, hey, I'm a cop, leave me alone. If he was, he probably would have done it before he got him out of the car. I think he was just responding to the officer's questions.
I guess you want me to take some type of preference or something that you mentioned that? No. Like I said, you're being recorded right now also, okay?
I know, brother. I don't.
Okay? All right, do me a favor. Take your hat off.
You're doing your job.
Take your hat off.
So yeah, again, he's just saying you're just trying to do your job. I think the guy, the defendant here, is actually kind of being respectful.
Like I said, you're being recorded right now also, okay?
I know, brother. I don't.
Okay? All right, do me a favor. Take your hat off.
You're doing your job.
Take your hat off. Okay? Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do, okay? You have any medical conditions? You wear glasses? No. Contacts?
All right, so we're starting in phase 3 now, phase 3 of a traffic stop, which is the pre-arrest screening. And the officer had him take his hat off. He asked him a medical disclaimer, which they're supposed to do, and it's asked him if he has anything wrong. With his eyes, he can't see. Sometimes they have head injuries. He may also here go ahead and ask about if he's anything wrong with his knees, hips, or legs, feet that could prevent him from balancing, because they'll go into the second and third field sobriety. So NHTSA years ago developed what's now become known as the standardized field sobriety test, okay? There are 3 of them. Now, there may be other tests that officers feel that they need to do. Back when I was a deputy, we would do sometimes this dexterity test where you have them go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, things like that. The alphabet, start at this letter or start at this number and count or whatever. Those are all different field sobrieties they could do. But the standard ones for alcohol determination are the horizontal gaze and nystagmus, the HGN, which I'm assuming he's about to do here.
You have a glass eye? No. No? Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do, okay, look at me. Look at my pen, okay? All right? And you just follow my pen without moving your head, all right? Just your eyes, okay?
So, as a criminal defense lawyer, already I'm liking it because the officer's doing it wrong, okay? He has turned his stylus vertical, and he's doing a vertical gaze and nystagmus, which you're supposed to do at the end of the test. Now, people are like, oh, what difference does that make? Well, it makes a huge difference. First of all, the field sobriety test is a bunch of pseudoscience bullcrap, okay? It's not actually reliable. It was developed by NHTSA years ago to try to increase DUI arrest. It was not to actually determine if they're impaired or drunk or should be arrested. It was to increase arrest. That was really the goal. And if you don't believe me, you can look at the whole history, research, and the studies that were done. Super biased. I think it's all bull. The cops all still do it and love it because, most people aren't going to be able to do these tests anyway. Now, I will say this. The HGN, the horizontal gaze and nystagmus, is where they're looking for an involuntary jerking of the eye. And that's typically the body's physiological response to having alcohol in your system. Now, if I'm being honest, when I was a cop and even now as a criminal defense lawyer and sometimes as a bar trick, you can do the HGN and I can usually guess pretty close what their BEC actually is. Now in Tennessee, it's not admissible, the HGN component here, but if I'm being honest, it's probably the most reliable of the 3 tests because you can kind of gauge their blood alcohol level by the nystagmus in the eyes. Now, the thing is, there are other things that cause nystagmus, okay? The cop's got this light pointed straight in his eye. As a criminal defense lawyer, I'm making a note of that because if there is nystagmus there, that could be part of it. If people have had head injuries, sometimes there's natural nystagmus. If they're doing the DUI investigation as a result of a crash, they could have had a head injury that could have caused it. There are other reasons why people may show nystagmus besides intoxication. But anyway, I can already tell you, I don't care about the HGN. I'm going to skip ahead because already the officer hasn't done it right. It's called standardized because the research is supposed to support the presence or the determination of alcohol based on doing the test correctly. And you don't start with vertical gaze and nystagmus. So as a defense lawyer, I'm already jumping up and down on this one to suppress it. He's doing it wrong. I don't care what the evidence from it showed because it's not going to be reliable.
Put your hand to the side like this, okay? I'm going to go like this, heel to toe, all right? Okay? You're going to put your left foot in front of your right, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 9, okay? When you get to the 9 steps, you're going to take a series of small steps like this, turn back around, same thing, right foot in front of the left, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? They have to touch, heel to toe, okay? You're going to take 9 steps forward and 9 steps back, okay? Whenever you're ready, keep your hands to the side. Go ahead, you may begin. 5, 6, 7. Okay, come over here. Come over here.
Okay, so far I'm liking this. Other than the second phase where they came up and he sounded a little slurred, this pre-arrest screening phase I think is useful as a defense lawyer because I think it's going to be inadmissible. So at the beginning of this officer did not ask any medical questions. Do you have anything wrong with your hips, knees, feet that prevents you from balance? I didn't hear him ask anything about that. He just started rumbling through this. He also did an inappropriate demonstration. They're taught to do 3 steps. You don't do the 3, you probably should do the 9. He did 4. He also missed some of the cues that he's supposed to tell him to watch for. And the reason that's important is on this test, if you don't tell him what you're looking for at the beginning, how is he supposed to be able to pass the test, right? That in and of itself frustrates me because they list off this laundry list of cues that they're looking for and want you to do and then expect you, sober or not, to be able to then turn around and do this perfectly. It's really a coordination test. Now, the one area, and he hasn't said it yet, maybe he'll say it, but I anticipate this cop is going to miss, that's a good point to bring up, that would then offset some of my defense as a defense lawyer, is this guy is a cop, right? He's already told him he is. This is a coordination test. If you do something a lot, you get better at it, right? That's how coordination works. You train over and over, and then you're able to do it through repetition. These cops typically do these tests pretty well because they've done them a lot. Now, this guy, if he was a non-cop, didn't do terrible. You know, he at least kind of tried to do it. He raised his hands a little bit. The guy never really told him to watch his feet, which is another part of it. He just, told him to do the 9 steps, turn around. So he looks okay. But if I judge him as a cop doing it, I think he doesn't do as well, right? So instead of attacking him on being a cop and thinking that he's trying to get himself off, I would use it to my advantage. I would have started with, you've done this before, right? You've done this multiple times. You should be able to do this well. And he doesn't do that. So I think that already on the walk and turn, by the way, this is the second of the standardized field sobriety test, the walk and turn test. I don't think he does terrible. Matter of fact, HGN, I'm not going to give it a grade because the cop didn't do it right. On the walk and turn test, I'm going to give the client probably a B-, and I'm going to give the cop probably a C-. on his instructions.
I'm gonna ask you to do, okay? Right? The one leg stand, okay? Now stand like this. Hands to your side like this, exactly like you did with the 9 steps, okay? You're gonna hold your foot up, okay? All right, like this. You're gonna count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, okay? 6 inches up, which equals about the size of a dollar bill, okay? The length of a dollar bill, okay? 6 inches off the ground like this, okay? 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, all the way to 30. I'll tell you when to begin, okay? Either leg is fine. Towards me. All right, you may begin. Count out loud.
1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000.
Okay, that's fine. All right, just turn around for me and then just up.
Okay, so we just finished the one leg stand. And again, this cop just doesn't do it correctly. He doesn't give him some of the points he's supposed to know. So you can't check it off. You can't say he didn't do this cue because you didn't check it off. And the cues become important. And I can do another video on the specifics on those because they're supposed to look at how many cues they've presented on that are available. And if they hit X number of them, then it equals this percentage of potential impairment is the way they're supposed to analyze it. But you have to do the test exactly right or else it's fallible. It's not reliable if you haven't. So he doesn't tell him to look at his foot. He never asks if he understands the instructions. I think that's a really good point. Not only is it in the test, but I think it's a good point cops need to do because you don't want to look like you're just trying to rush the guy through it. You want to look like, at least as a police officer, that you're really trying to help them. You want them to do well, right? I even used to tell them, look, do you understand? I want you to do well on this test. And sometimes I really did. DUI is a lot of paperwork, and I really did want them to do well because, you know, if I had to arrest them for it, it meant it's going to spend a lot of time with them, potentially getting blood or breath and going to jail and stuff. Takes a lot of time. So all in all, that's all 3 of the field sobriety. I don't know that he's going to do more or less. That's the standard ones that he did. He at least did them in the correct order. But to be honest, if I'm analyzing this cop, he needs to go back and look at the specific instructions because any halfway decent defense lawyer that understands DUI defense, I'm going to use all these tests to my advantage. He's not falling down drunk, okay? I keep this rubber duck in my office and I tell the clients, if it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, it's a duck on the video, regardless of any other evidence. You know, he looks tired, maybe impaired, but this is not 100%. So depending on what other evidence they have, there may be some opening here to say, look, he was tired or whatever. Maybe it was an impairment.
For me, and then just put your arms back like this. Right? Turn around real quick and just put your arms out like that. Do that for me? Is that all right? Okay, that's fine. All right.
All right, so they do the arrest, and I just looked ahead. This video doesn't show the next step that I would want to look at, and that's whether they read him an implied consent form. Now, I don't know about this specific state where this is. In Tennessee, I would want to know that they read verbatim the Tennessee implied consent form. And in the local areas, they typically don't do breath at all. They only do blood. So then I like to see if on the body cam it shows the actual collection of the blood because sometimes there's suppression factors that I can use in seeing that also. So those are all things I look for. Another thing, just a tip real quick for cops that I look for. Some lawyers probably, I think it's just a lazy lawyer, and they won't watch the whole video. Sometimes these videos are, you know, multiple hours long and multiple perspectives. Sometimes you get a body cam, a dash cam, 2 officers there, 3 officers, whatever. I watch every video every minute. Why? Sometimes there are pieces of evidence on the video that has 0 to do with the client, but I can use to motivate a good outcome for my client. For example, I've had it where the body cam's right here, and the cop, when he walks off the camera from the client, gets in his car and he starts texting his girlfriend, not his wife, but his girlfriend, and that's all there. Well, if we have to have a hearing on it, sorry, brother, but I'm going to have to bring some of that stuff up. It's part of it, right? And then when you make the prosecutor and then through the prosecutor, the cop aware of some of this, sometimes the case ends up working out for your client. So my point is, if you're a cop, make sure you're aware the whole time your cameras are on or what's on the camera and what you say on the camera. Because a good lawyer will listen to all of that background information, and sometimes it can be used to the advantage to defend our defendant, defend them hopefully to our benefit. Anyway, so that's real quick a video just reviewing this DUI stop. If you've got any questions about it, or let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this guy should have been arrested? I can see him arresting him, but I think it's defensible, okay? And so until next time, you guys keep kicking.